Good Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversation Daily News. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. We, of course, have your news headlines coming up on this Tuesday. We have the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich in today's Entertainment Spotlight, being part of my conversation with author Maria Brito. Her new book, How Creativity Rules the World, is out today. We discuss part of our conversation here. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Tuesday headlines. In international news, Russia keeps up attacks on Ukraine as two sides hold talks. Russia and Ukraine kept a fragile diplomatic path open with a new round of talks on Monday, even as Moscow's forces pounded away at Kyiv and other cities around the country in a punishing bombardment that the Red Cross said has created nothing short of a nightmare for civilians. Meanwhile, a convoy of 160 civilian cars left the encircled port city of Mariupol along a designated humanitarian route, the city council reported, in a rare glimmer of hope, a week and a half into the lethal siege that has pulverized homes and other buildings and left people desperate for food, water, heat, and medicine. The latest negotiations, which were held via video conference, were the fourth round involving higher-level officials from the two countries and the first in a week. The talks ended without a breakthrough after several hours, with an aide to the Ukrainian president saying the negotiators took a technical pause and plan to meet again today. The two sides had expressed some optimism in the past few days. The aide to Zelensky said over the weekend that Russia was listening carefully to their proposals. He tweeted Monday that the negotiators would discuss peace, ceasefire, immediate withdrawal of troops, and security guarantees. Previous discussions held in person in Belarus produced no lasting humanitarian routes or agreements to end the fighting. Overall, nearly all of Russia's offensive remained stalled on Monday after making little progress over the weekend, according to a senior U.S. defense official who spoke on condition of anonymity to the Associated Press to discuss the Pentagon's assessment. Russian troops were still about 15 kilometers from the center of Kyiv, the official said. The official said that Russian President Vladimir Putin's forces have launched more than 900 missiles, but that Ukraine's airspace is still contested, with Russia not achieving total air superiority. Overnight, air raid alerts sounded in cities and towns around the country, from near the Russian border to the east and in the west, and fighting continued on the outskirts of Kyiv. Ukrainian officials said Russian forces shelled several suburbs of the capital. The Director General of the International Committee of the Red Cross said the war has become nothing short of a nightmare for those living in besieged cities, and he pleaded for safe passage for civilians to leave and humanitarian aid to be brought in through the front lines. In a related story, Zelensky to deliver virtual address to U.S. Congress. Ukrainian President Zelensky will deliver a virtual address to the U.S. Congress as the Russian war on his country intensifies. Zelensky will speak Wednesday to members of the House and Senate, the Democratic leaders announced. The event will be live-streamed for the public. It's such a privilege to have this leader of this country where these people are fighting for their democracy and our democracy, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said Monday during an event at the Brooklyn Bridge with New York lawmakers. Pelosi said that Zelensky asked for the meeting when they spoke at the end of last week, and lawmakers are thrilled to have him address Congress. In business news, Federal Reserve to begin risky pursuit of a soft landing. The Federal Reserve on Wednesday will launch one of the most difficult tasks a central bank can attempt, raise borrowing costs enough to slow growth and tame high inflation, but not so much as to topple the economy into the recession. With a war raging in Europe and price increases at a 4-decade high, Fed Chair Jerome Powell will seek to engineer a soft landing, a gradual slowdown in economic activity that helps curb surging prices while keeping the job market and economy expanding. Yet many economists worry that with the price of gas and commodities spiking, the additional burden of higher interest rates could choke off growth entirely. As a first step, the Fed is set to raise borrowing rates several times this year, beginning this week with a quarter-point increase in its benchmark short-term rate. Policymakers will also discuss when and how fast to shrink the Fed's $9 trillion in bond holdings, a step that would also have the effect of tightening credit for consumers and businesses. In sports, Tom Brady is returning to Tampa to play 23rd season in NFL. Tom Brady's retirement lasted 40 days. Brady said on Sunday he's returning to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for his 23rd NFL season. The 7-time Super Bowl champion announced his decision on Twitter and Instagram, saying he has unfinished business. The news stole the spotlight from the NCAA's selection on Sunday. These past 2 months, I've realized my place is still on the field and not in the stands, Brady wrote. That time will come, but it's not now. And finally, in more business news, stocks swayed lower and crude oil slides to $100 per barrel. Stocks swayed lower on Wall Street Monday. Crude oil prices fell and bond yields rose sharply as waves of market-moving forces crashed into each other. Markets remain jumbled as investors try to assess the various impacts on the economy from the war in Ukraine, upcoming rate hikes from the Fed Reserve, and new virus lockdowns in China. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. Here's now time for the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich. Mary Ellen, it's all yours.
This is Mary Ellen with your Truth of the Day. Always continue to shine your light of goodness. When you find yourself in the presence of a person in a grumpy mood, it may seem like a dark cloud is approaching. This might block your light of positivity. You can remind yourself that clouds pass. This person's grumpy behavior does not have the power to affect your mood unless you allow it to. With the power of change firmly in your hands, you can choose to respond to a grumpy person with confidence and understanding. Continue to shine your light of positivity to assist others to find their way back to their own light. Offer them a silent prayer of peace, a sympathetic smile, or a word of welcome. All people need understanding without any judgments or expectations. Help a person to see the good in any situation they might see as troublesome. Today, find someone and make their day better. And also, enjoy your day.
We are part of my conversation coming up with author Maria Brito in today's Entertainment Spotlight. Stay with us. You're listening to Conversation Daily News. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with the Entertainment Spotlight. Author and curator Maria Brito joined me on Conversations Live, the radio show, to talk about her brand new book out today, How Creativity Rules the World. Here's a bit of our conversation. What has this experience been like for you, Maria, to be able to not only to discover a new way of looking at creativity, but to be able to share that with all of us?
You know, my life has been a bunch of surprises, one after the other, but basically the thing that prompted me to write this book is that we are living in the times where creativity is dollar by dollar the most lucrative skill that anybody can possess. And it's not about arts and crafts, which, I mean, obviously that is also creative, but it is about your unique ability to come up with ideas of value that are relevant, that can help you reinvent yourself, can help you launch a business or tweak an idea or pivot a career or become relevant in the face of a world that is, you know, convoluted, is drowning us with a lot of information. And so I wanted to demystify this idea that creativity is just for artists, or that creativity is something that only a handful of genius people possess. That is absolutely not true. And I set out to find all the data, all the science, all the historical, you know, concrete passages of information that are actually backing up this, because when LinkedIn released the data that has been shared in the network in the past 3 years, more than 800 million professionals are on LinkedIn. And the number one skill that employers are looking for is creativity. And at the same time, the employers say that it is the hardest to find. This is a mismatch that I find is hurting everybody.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning in to this edition of Conversations Daily News. We'll be back to get on tomorrow's more news. Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and of course your Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today. Let's make it a great one.